If you're a Windows user, one option for C programming is Microsoft's Visual Studio. If you've got a commercial edition, you're all set up to go, but if not, you can get a free edition by going to the Microsoft Visual Studio website to download the community edition of Visual Studio, and that's completely free, and it includes support for a broad variety of programming languages, including C. But at first sight, it might not be obvious how to start C programming. And the first thing you need to do is to check that you've got the edition that includes the C compiler. If you're not sure if you've got that edition, this is how to check. Go to File, New, Project. Try to start a new project. Select the C or the C++ option from the Other Languages panel on the left, and you'll see here that it doesn't give you any project types, but it says Install Visual C++ 2015 Tools. So you'll need to select that in order to start the download to install the support for C++, and that will also install support for C. So I'm assuming now that you've got Visual Studio installed with C++ support, but how do you create a C project? Well, you go to the File menu, select New, then Project. Up pops this dialog. Select Visual C++. It doesn't list C, but I'll show you how to use it because C++ projects are compatible with C projects. Select Win32 Console Application. If you like, change it to some more meaningful name down here. And if you like, click the Browse button to select a particular folder. I'm just going with the defaults for now, and I'll click OK. Up comes this dialog. I need to click Next. Make sure Console Application has been selected. I'm going to create an empty project because I don't want Visual Studio to go away and populate a C++ project for me because I only want to program in C. So if I didn't select that, it would create more files than I really need. And now I select Finish. So it goes away and it creates my project, and you can see up in the Solution Explorer there are some folders. The ones that I'm most interested in, if I wanted to add header files, this would be the folder. Here I just want to add a single source file, main.c. So I right click that, select Add, New Item, and it shows me Visual C++. You can select Code if you like, and the C++ source file. It shows source.cpp down here, which is the extension that would be used for a C++ file. Of course, I want a C file, so I'm going to change that to a C name, main.c. And that's all I need to fool it into letting me create a C project when it's trying to force me to create a C++ project. Don't ask me why Visual Studio makes it so difficult to create C projects, but that's the way it behaves. So I click Add, and now here's my empty main.c. Now I could type in the code that I want here. Just to save time, I'm going to copy and paste a very simple piece of code. So I've included stdio.h at the top, and then I've just written a main function which displays hello world in the console. Now the console will pop up to display this output, but it will also pop down again straight away. So I'm going to force it to stay up by putting a breakpoint. A breakpoint just tells the debugger to stop, to pause briefly at this marked point. So I've clicked in the margin and it adds that red dot, which is the breakpoint. I'm now going to run with debugging. I can press F5, or I can click this button up here, or I can select from the debug menu, debug, start with debugging. It goes away and it prompts me here if I want to build it. You can disable that dialog by clicking this, but for now I'll just allow it. So I say yes, of course I want to build it. It's now compiling my program. This is a C program, not a C++ program. And up pops the dialog. It hits the breakpoint. You see the yellow arrow there. And so that lets me examine what's in the console window. And sure enough, it's hello world. And when I want to continue, then I just press the continue button. So that's a very simple way of creating from scratch a C project in Visual Studio. If you want to use some of my existing source code files, for example, a main.c that I've written, rather than having to write it or copy and paste it as I have done here, you would just go back into the Solution Explorer and right-click Source Files, Add, and this time you do select Existing Item, and that will let you browse to the C file on disk. I'd suggest you put the C files in the same directory as the solution, but you don't need to, and if you wanted to add a header file, which is explained later in this course, then of course you would do the same thing in the header files folder, again in the Solution Explorer. So, in brief, that is the simple way of using Microsoft Visual Studio to create, compile, run and debug C projects.